Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Montero, and welcome to our segment of Chapter a Day from the book of The Art of Creative Thinking. Today we are at Chapter 11 that states, Reading generates ideas. The use of reading is to aid us in thinking. That was Edwin Gibbon. I love to lose myself in other man's mind, wrote Charles Lab. When I'm not walking, I'm reading. I cannot sit and think. Books think for me. For many people, reading and research is more a device for avoiding thoughts rather than as an aid to it. But reading for diversion or entertainment or reading merely for information is different in kind from reading from idea generation. What kinds of reading will develop your creative imagination? Good fiction may come high on your lists. Novelist John Fowles says that the reader of fiction has to take part and do half of the work. I like the vagueness of the printed word. He said, take a sentence like, she walked across the road. You have to imagine it, so you have freedom. No two people have ever imagined Tolstoy's characters in A War and Peace in the same way. It makes for richness in reading, for it involves in a common communion between author and the reader. Therefore, prose and poetry will never die. The words of Francis Clifford, writer of 15 novels, apply to all books likely to be useful to a creative thinker. A writer's task, he says, is not to spell everything out. It is really to imply and infer and hint, to give the reader the opportunity of total involvement by encouraging him or her to contribute his or her own reflection and imagery. Reading without reflecting has been compared to eating without digesting. One page or even one paragraph, properly digested, will be more fruitful than a whole volume hurriedly read. Or, as the film mongrel Sam Godwell said to a hopeful author, I have read part of your book all the way through. When you come across significant part, the passages that speak to you, it is worth remembering the counsel of the Book of Common Prayer. Read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest. The power of a good book is in the intimate relationship of the author and the reader. It is a transaction that takes place in solitude. It invites you to think for yourself about some objects away from the contexts of other people. The author should be able to lead you to nourishing food or refreshing water. And though he or she cannot make you drink, he or she should provide you with plenty of encouragement to do so. This almost unique condition of inner dialogue enable a good book to reach deep into your consciousness. You don't have to plod through a book from page 1 to the end. You can skip and skim. Therefore, There is little point in taking a speed reading course. I am not a speed reader, says space fiction writer Isaac Asimov. I am a speed understander. Taste the content, then select what you wish to chew and swallow. Never swallow fast. If you believe everything you read is better not to lead. The delight of leading is this spirit. The delight of leading in this spirit are legendary. We can travel in time, transcending our own culture and our own day. For us, Descartes wrote, to converse with those of other centuries is almost the same as traveling. Remember the point in earlier chapter. You may discover ideas, practices, facts, or technologies in this distance time which suddenly connect with your present interests and concerns. You may be surprised and to discover the unexpected by happy serendipity. Did you know, for example, that Solomon's temple was protected by lightning rods? Nero devised a coin in the slot machine. The Caesars had 3 elevators in their place. Hindus used the cowpox virus centuries before Jaina. The leaping machine was described as a worn-out French invention in the 16th century. 1,000 years before Christ, the Chinese extracted digitalis from living toads to treat heart disease. Recorded earthquake undetected by the human senses. And used an instrument that always pointed north. Reading books then can stimulate and develop your power of creative thinking. If nothing else, a good book can put you into a working mode. If you are resolved to devote as much time and attention on your mental fitness, a thinker as the average person spends on that more. Wasting asset, the human body, you will be inclined to follow Charles Darwin's advice, which says, if I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read more poetry and listen to some music at least once a week. Perhaps the parts of my brain now atrophied would thus have been kept active through use. The loss of this taste is a loss of happiness and may possibly be injurious to the intellect and more probably to the moral character by enfeebling the emotional part of our nature. Darwin, incidentally, was a remarkably accomplished painter as well as being an extraordinary scientist. Our key points on chapter 11 say, the first one says, nothing is worth reading that does not require an alert mind, open and eager to learn. Number 2, books are storehouses of ideas, thoughts, facts, opinions, descriptions, information, and dreams. Some of these, removed from their settings, may connect to your present or future interests or as a thinker. Point number 3 and the last one says, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Wrote Sir Richard Steele, poetry and good prose, fact or fiction, requires the use of your imaginative and recreative power. Therefore, they provide you with an enjoyable way of developing those faculties. And the third point on key points bring us to the final chapter of 11, which takes us to chapter 12 that says keep notebook. I'm so curious about keeping a notebook. See you on chapter 12. Hope you've enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed that. Chapter 12 with a headline reading to generate ideas. Very important, very educative. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you subscribe, comment, leave a bell on for every chapter that we're going to be posting for you. Thank you so much.